Imagine being banished to a tiny island, your empire in ruins, your dreams shattered, and then, against all odds, you escape. Your eyes are set on reclaiming your throne, but what awaits you is a cataclysmic battle that will either resurrect you as an emperor or etch your name in the annals of history as a fallen hero. Stick around to the end to discover how Napoleon Bonaparte's audacious 100-day gamble led to one of the most legendary battles ever fought, Waterloo. This isn't just history, this is an epic drama of ambition, fate, and the indomitable human spirit. It's February 26, 1815, on the rugged, isolated island of Elba, situated in the Mediterranean between Italy and France. The weather is as moody as the situation. On this seemingly inconspicuous piece of land, Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who once made kings and emperors tremble, is now a captive, or so the world believes. He's not just any captive, he's a deposed ruler, the fallen emperor of the French. The man who had once had the whole of Europe in the palm of his hand is now limited to a tiny speck on the map. However, being the military genius that he was, Napoleon had no plans of letting fate write his story. Oh, no. He had something so audacious up his sleeve that it would soon send shockwaves around the globe. A master of strategy, he had been watching, waiting, and calculating for just the right moment to spring his trap. So, what does he do? He rallies a band of loyal followers, a small force that numbered around 1,000 men. These weren't just any men, they were his most trusted soldiers, men who had fought alongside him in battle after glorious battle. And ships? He had only a handful of ships, certainly nothing that could be considered a formidable navy. But the man had the audacity, oodles of it. But here's the kick, the jailers, the guards, they're supposedly keeping an eye on him, right? Wrong. The moment they let their guard down, Napoleon and his 1,000 loyalists set their plan into motion. Just imagine the sense of exhilaration, the adrenaline surging through their veins as they defied their captors, seized the ships, and raised anchor. In an act of almost mythological audacity, they set sail for France, navigating through treacherous waters and evading capture, their hearts full of purpose, their minds fixed on the reclamation of glory. This, my friends, is where our sweeping tale of valor, guts, glory, and the inexorable pull of destiny kicks off. A tale so potent with drama and intrigue, it could only belong to a man as larger than life as Napoleon Bonaparte. So, Napoleon's ship makes it to the shores of France, landing in the area near Cannes. Now, you're probably thinking, this guy has a massive target painted on his back, right? He's an outlaw in his own country, a man who had been sent to exile, not just on a vacation. Every soldier, and every law enforcement agency, should be looking to capture or even kill him on sight. But, get ready for the twist that could rival the most shocking plot turn in a blockbuster movie. The very soldiers, the king's men, mind you, sent to apprehend him, switch sides. Now, if that doesn't tell you something about Napoleon's irresistible charisma and leadership, I don't know what will. These soldiers, upon facing Napoleon, are so captivated, so enthralled by the man standing in front of them, that they cannot bring themselves to carry out their orders. Instead, they join him, shouting, "Long live the Emperor!" And suddenly Napoleon's small force starts looking like an army again. Talk about a plot twist. Within days, that modest force mushrooms into a formidable army. Farmers, civilians, former soldiers, they all flock to him as he marches towards Paris. It's like a snowball effect, he's gathering momentum, and the French people are rolling in behind him. And then, a mere matter of weeks later, Napoleon arrives in Paris. Just let that sink in. Weeks. The city is buzzing, the air electric with excitement and disbelief. King Louis XVIII, realizing the tidal wave he's up against, takes to his heels and flees. And what does Napoleon do? In a staggering display of audacity and flair for the dramatic, he proclaims, "The eagle has landed, it will fly from steeple to steeple until it reaches the towers of Notre Dame." In that moment, it was clear, France was his again, reclaimed as audaciously as it had been lost. The man had gone from captive to emperor, from exile to the throne, all in the course of a few electric, unfathomable weeks. It was a feat so extraordinary, it left both his allies and enemies slack-jawed in disbelief. Napoleon was no fool, he understood that the stakes had never been higher. His audacious comeback had jolted the courts of Europe, turning their chandeliers into shaking timbers of dread. Like a pack of wolves sensing danger, monarchs and rulers scrambled to come up with a plan, a coalition. This would be the seventh, if you're keeping count. They were uniting not just to contain this reinvigorated force of nature, but to crush him for good. The showdown was not just likely, it was inevitable. A colossal, world-changing clash was simmering on the horizon, and everyone knew it. It was as if fate herself had cleared her calendar to witness this impending spectacle. So what does Napoleon do, knowing full well he's poking a nest of very angry hornets? He doubles down. Driven by a renewed sense of destiny and a touch of that intoxicating arrogance that had carried him to so many victories, he worked with a feverish intensity to consolidate his newfound power. The man was on fire, every move he made was like a chess grandmaster contemplating the endgame. And he didn't just rest on his laurels. He initiated sweeping reforms, seeking to inject life into an economy battered by years of war. He even aimed to rally the nation under a new banner of unity, promising a reign that would be different this time around. Napoleon envisioned a new constitution. Talk about ambition. He was planning for a France that would be both revolutionary and stable, passionate yet disciplined. However, despite all the fervor and activity, his gaze remained fixed like a laser on that daunting horizon where he knew armies, vast, well-supplied, vengeful armies, were gathering. Armies led by men who had dedicated themselves to one singular goal, to bring Napoleon Bonaparte crashing down into the dustbin of history, once and for all. But if they thought he was going to be an easy target, oh, they had another thing coming. As the atmosphere grew thick with the electricity of impending conflict, Napoleon, always the chess master, plotted his next set of moves. His plan was as audacious as it was brilliant: divide and conquer. He aimed to split the mighty forces bearing down on him. On one side, the indomitable Prussian army led by the battle-hardened Gebhard Lieberecht von Blücher; on the other, the formidable British-led Anglo-Allied army under the steely gaze of the Duke of Wellington. On paper, it was a strategic masterpiece, the kind of plan that would be studied in military academies for generations, or so he fervently believed. The stage was set all right. It was as if the gods themselves had put their feet up, popcorn in hand, eager not to miss the drama about to unfold. Here you had not just two, but three of the most brilliant military minds of the age, their legacies poised on the razor's edge of destiny. Our protagonist, Napoleon, your hero or anti-hero, depending on which historian's ink you trust, had rolled the dice of fate, gunning for one final blaze of glory. Fast forward to June 18, 1815, a day that would reverberate through the annals of history, its echoes resounding in the corridors of time. The setting, a rain-drenched battlefield, a muddy, treacherous stage for what would be a tumultuous duel of tactical brilliance and catastrophic blunders. For a spellbinding moment, it appeared that Napoleon might actually pull off the impossible. His troops advanced, cannons roared, and the enemy lines wavered. The man who had risen from exile to emperor seemed poised to write another stunning chapter in his saga. But then, as if guided by the fickle finger of fate, the unforeseen happened. The Prussian army, defying all expectations, managed to regroup. Rising like a phoenix from the ashes, they descended upon the battlefield like a furious avalanche. The ground shook, and you could practically hear the gods of war gasp as the tide irrevocably turned in favor of the Allies. As nightfall cloaked the battlefield, the iconic tricolor flag of France lay not waving but trampled in the mire of defeat. Napoleon, his coat muddied, his face a canvas of disbelief and somber realization, had to confront an unpalatable truth: his empire, his dreams, his visions of eternal glory, were irrevocably shattered. Just days after the soul-crushing defeat at Waterloo, Napoleon found himself doing something he had never imagined: abdicating the throne. Yet again. There would be no grand return to Paris, no second act to his rollercoaster reign. The man who had once been a lion on the battlefield, roaring his commands and defying the odds, was now a captured beast. And where would they send him this time? To St. Helena, an island even more remote, even more isolated than Elba, as if to underline the point, you shall rise no more. In this far-flung outpost, he would live out the rest of his days, not as an emperor, but as a forgotten relic. He was haunted, not just by the ghosts of his past triumphs, but by the agonizing specter of what could have been, of the empire that slipped through his fingers. His fall from grace was as poetic as it was tragic, the stuff of ancient epics, and cautionary tales whispered by bards and poets. But make no mistake, Waterloo was more than the final act in the drama that was Napoleon Bonaparte. It was a seismic event that shook the very foundations of Europe. It didn't just signify the end of one man's extraordinary career, it tore down the velvet curtain on the age of empires and the ceaseless wars that had ravaged the continent. The world would never be the same again. The Congress of Vienna became the grand theater where the future was drafted. Maps were redrawn with intricate precision, monarchies were restored, hello again, Bourbons, and most crucially, the ideological tectonic plates shifted. People across nations began to question the core beliefs, the very principles that had fueled years of bloodshed, ambition, and tumultuous change. In his defeat, Napoleon had inadvertently become an agent of transformation. He left an indelible imprint on the landscape of history. Forever etched in the annals of time, he remains an enigma, a legend, a man of insatiable ambition whose Icarian overreach led to an astonishing, unforgettable downfall. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the epic tale of Napoleon's 100 days and the cataclysmic Battle of Waterloo. If your pulse is racing, if your mind is swirling with the weight of history, then hit that like button, share this saga with your friends, and subscribe for more mind-blowing stories that you won't find in your high school history book. This is where history comes alive, in all its glorious complexities and heartbreaking tragedies. So until our next historical adventure, remember, those who forget the past may be doomed to repeat it, but those who remember it get to enjoy some absolutely riveting stories. Until next time, keep the wheels of time turning.